pocket aces. Let's go! What's up, guys? Doug Polk here. Welcome back for another exciting episode of The Vlog. It's a great one today, and you guys know that because you can see our thumbnail. We had pocket aces, and we're going to be getting into that in a moment. But before we do, I have an exciting announcement to make. The Lodge has launched its official flagship tournament series, the Lodge Championship Series. The LCS is aiming to be a premier tournament series, not just here in Texas. In fact, it's going to be the biggest tournament series in Texas, but also around the world. We got a lot of great events and over $5 million guaranteed this time around, and we're only going to be growing this thing every year. This is the schedule for the series. It kicks off on May 4th and ends on May 24th with 16 different events, as well as a bunch of other things going on like satellites into the main and some nightly turbos. We got a lot of events for everyone on this. 2 different mystery bounty events with $800 and $1,600 buy-ins, and then 3 flagship huge field tournaments. The first one's going to be a $400 buy-in on that first weekend with $500K guaranteed. The second one's an $800 buy-in with $1 million guaranteed, so we double the guarantee. And then we close it out with doubling the guarantee once again, a $3,000 main event with $2 million guaranteed. That's a pretty big buy-in and a pretty big guarantee, and I sure hope we hit it, because otherwise this might be as expensive for me as playing poker at the Lodge. I'm just kidding. It can't be that expensive. Anyway, we have a bunch of other events, including a seniors event, a ladies event, a 6-max event, and a $5,000 high roller. That's going to be enough shilling for now. If you want to learn more about the series, I'll put a link in the description below. Okay, on that note, let's go ahead and jump into the action. Today's session begins by picking out an outfit from my diverse wardrobe. Then I hit the robe. I think I'm going to mix it up today and play somewhere new. I'm thinking you're gullible. I pull up to the Lodge where I'm greeted by our friendly armed security guard. I head to my box to get some money to buy into the game. Yep, cold hard cash that I'm probably never going to see again because, let's face it, I don't exactly do too great here. I collect my $14,000 in chips and mentally prepare for the damage that might be done. Let's go ahead and jump into some hands. Before my chips even hit the felt, I'm already getting into some action. I raised ace king in early position here and got a 3-bet from mid position. The filming starts a bit late here because I was still trying to settle myself in. And the action folds back to me. The player isn't too deep and I have ace king. Look, guys, when you got ace king and they're not that deep, you're simply going to have to go with it. And I decide to put him in for the whole enchilada. I'm all in. All right. Nice. My bluff worked. Was that a... kind of was a bluff. I'm not doing well if he calls. Makes you think. Next hand, we call a raise in the straddle with jack deuce of spades. And this is a bad play. That's right. Don't do this at home, kids. Why am I doing it? The flop comes 7-5-4, 2 spades. So we flop a flush draw here with the jack deuce of spades. We check it over. Our opponent checks back. The turn comes a 4, pairing the board. We check and our opponent checks once again. The river, our hopes are dashed. Yet another 4. We've got the jack high. Now, we do have some other better hands to bluff, but if we had a hand like 9-8 or 9-6, we would have bet the turn. So we're not going to have too many worse hands than jack deuce of spades here. Also, if we had a 7, we could go quite large for value. It would almost certainly be good. And realistically, we can bet a 5 here somewhat aggressively. I settle on a very reasonable size of about 200% pot, $400 to go here on the river, thinking, look, if my opponent has a high card hand, it's going to be put in a very tough spot. I can definitely bet this with a 7. I don't think I can bet this with a 5, but a 7 will be able to slam dunk, get some value, as well as your occasional friendly quads or maybe a hand like pocket 8s. My opponent thought it over for a while. He was clearly in a bit of a tough spot, but he finally decided to put in the money.
I lose.
With king 8. King 8.
That was a
We're
call.
already getting owned on the Vlog. King 8? You're opening that? You have an 8 in your hand? What's going on here? Guess I'm just getting owned. We got called by the king high, guys. King 8 of clubs. Good start. Good start for the vlog today. This vlog is turning into a PSA for playing tight and getting value. You think I would have learned by now. Next hand, our opponent opens an early position and we look down at the ace jack suited. We decided to make the call, although we would certainly be 3-betting sometimes, and the action folds around to the straddle, who makes the call. The flop, well, it's a favorable one for us. We have ace-jack on ace-jack 10, so we flop top 2 pair. The early position raiser fires out a bet here on the flop. Just a $65 wager. At this point, I think I'm very likely good. This looks like an ace-king, ace-queen type of hand. However, if I start to put in too much money here, I think I'm going to get shown king, queen, or sets quite often, or maybe ace-jack as well. I do leave a little bit of money on the table. If I raise, I'll definitely get a call here on the flop by ace-king, ace-queen. But those hands aren't going anywhere anyway. The real hand that I guess it would be a bit of a disaster just call versus ace-10 suited, but how likely is that really, given that I have ace-jack of spades, and there's ace-jack of hearts out there, so there's only 2 ace-10 suiteds left. So I do decide to make the call. The straddle gets out of the way, and we take a turn. The 6 of diamonds rolls off, and our opponent checks over to us. Now we have a very clear value bet. We decided to go for 175. Back to our opponent, does make the check call, and we take a river. The river is the 9 of clubs, and while a couple of straights got there, this is full ring poker, and my opponent is early position, and so am I, and he check called the turn. If this guy ends up with a straight, well, he might be from Texas. Anyway, he does check, and I'm not afraid of these straights he can't possibly have, so I decided to value bet my 2 pair. $625 is the price to go. Now my opponent has to make a decision. He's pretty clearly got a hand like ace-king, jack-10 suited, ace-queen, something a little bit marginal that's not super happy about the way that it's going down. But my opponent's logic might be the following. Doug is betting money again. I'm going to call.
Ace-jack.
He does make the call. And I'm sorry, man. You're running pretty bad here because I actually did have the ace-jack suited. Tough beat.
Yeah, we gotta stick to value, guys. That's it. No more bluffing, people. I'm done with it. Value only.
Wait, hold on. I just played a good hand pre-flop, flopped a strong hand, and value bet. Maybe that's what I should have been doing the entire time.
You're getting raised.
Next hand, early position raises it up to $40 at 505.10. I think that someone, we had a couple callers behind, one on the button, one in the big blind, or small blind, or one of the blinds, whatever it is. And I decided to squeeze with the ace-queen. Now, I made this way too small. I made it about 5.25x, so really I don't know what I was expecting. And everybody calls, naturally. We take a flop. Ace-queen of spades doesn't connect. King 5 deuce, 1 spade backdoor flush draw. We're not thrilled about it, but there's $800 out there, and I'm way more likely to have a king than any of these guys. So I fire out 225 on the flop. Action moves over to the early position player. His name's Scott. Scott's not having it. Scott's not buying it. Scott reaches for chips. Scott announces he is all in. Everyone folds. I fold. Let's see what he's got. Will he show us? 8 of spades. 6 of spades.
What happened to I'm done bluffing?
He jammed versus my c-bet and won $1,000. What happened to just playing tight and value betting? Why couldn't I just stick to that plan? Our next hand, yeah, I'll just let you watch it.
Jake, Tone, and Christopher P. for 1-3. Jake, Tone, and Christopher for 1-3.
See, there's too much stuff going on when you're vlogging. It's like, get the camera out. Can anyone see my hole cards? What's the bet size? All right, you got action. 500-ish, right? 600?
610.
All right, you got it. What do you got?
Not very good. Oh, shoot.
Yep. Once or twice, up to you.
Oh,
Well, at this point, I guess we're going once. You got some chop outs. Oh! Yep.
yeah, thank God.
Love playing here. Love playing here.
Good times at the lodge. Come on down and play at the lodge with me. And I'm having a good time. Anyway, the next hand we decided to play is Pocket aces! Let's go! I'm not sure if this guy opened under the gun or if he straddled, so that might change the hand a lot, but either way, we decided to make it $100 to go. And the action folds to what I think is the straddle, but could be a raise, and he makes a call. Let's take a flop. Ace, Jack, Deuce, top set! Let's go!
75. Pick the other one.
I guess nobody had the 8-6 that time to pay me off. These guys are too good. As a table, we decide it's now time to play Texas Stand-Up. And of course, we decided that because Jeremy is here, and Jeremy always gets the table to play Texas Stand-Up. If you're not familiar with this game, well, you've been missing your vlogs. You better go back and check them out. But the way that it works is everyone stands up. You have a set penalty. Here, the penalty is $50 a head. And if you're the last guy standing, well, you got to pay everyone at the table the penalty. So you are heavily incentivized to try and get to sit down, and it does spark a lot of action. Our first playable hand comes in the button with King of Hearts, Jack of Clubs. Under the gun opened to 3x, and we re-raised it to $100 to go. Under the gun does make the call, and we take a flop. 10-8-4, 2 hearts comes out. It's a bit of an interesting board. We do have the King of Hearts and a couple overs, so it's reasonable to check and try and realize some equity. If a King or Jack comes, we have top pair, which we can certainly play for 2 streets. Queen comes, we have an open-ender to the nuts on both sides. And if a heart comes, we have the second nut flush draw. Betting is also a reasonable option because if our opponent does check call, well, we can hit top pairs all the same, as well as the aforementioned draws. And by having the King of Hearts, you make it a little less likely he's going to continue. We decided to go with the bet option, and we face a check raise. Not good news. At this point, it would be pretty ambitious to float, and we have to remember, discipline's been killing us, so we do go ahead and lay it down. Great. Another great fold. Another awesome fold here. We're just doing so great whenever we decide. I'm not going to complain anymore until the next hand. Maybe. The action folds to us in the cutoff. We look down at King, Queen of Spades. We opened it up to 75. This hand was straddled 5, 5, 10, 20. The action folds to the big blind. Player we just played the hand against, Scott, does decide to make the call. And the straddle comes along for the ride with people chanting defense because they want me to have to stay standing up. The flop comes Jack 9-6 rainbow. We do have the Jack of Spades out there, so the backdoor flush draws in play. And of course, we have a gutter ball to the nuts as well as 2 overs. In fact, this is actually a kind of similar spot to what we just had. Bit of a better hand, obviously, because we already have the gut shot, but some reasonable logic behind either checking or betting. It's kind of my thing, actually. We do decide to bet $150 to go.
Fold.
The big blind gets out of the way. I demand folds. Don't get it. And the straddle makes the call. Let's take a turn. The turn's not a great one. The 3 of clubs rolls off. It is a brick, so our opponent has almost certainly not improved. However, we have not improved as well. He checks once again. We're both quite deep here, which is actually pretty good for me in position. I'm going to get to fire a lot here with my entire range as well as this hand. And then, of course, I can always unload the clip on some rivers. And then also, once in a while, I might get there. Guys, I can actually have hands sometimes, too. We make a pretty large bet. What will he do?
600. It sounds like I'm going to win. It sounds like I'm going to win. Hey, I bluffed you. Oh, give me your money. Give me your money.
That's right. After getting told he bluffed me, I bluffed him. Poker is a beautiful game. Our next hand, I'm saying the action in the hand, so I guess I'll just let me take it over from here.
I mean, I'm gonna have to pay you off.
Defense.
Defense. Are you enjoying that, Jeremy? By the way, the vlog where he knows you, Jeremy, as the guy that always loses every game of stand-up. It's just nice to see that you're on pace to lose another one.
It's not about whether we win or lose. It's the memories we make together.
Oh, it's too sweet for this vlog.
Moving on, we have pocket queens, and that's a 10-9-3 flop. I'm going to assume that I raised and a bunch of people called because I really can't imagine a scenario where I wasn't raising queens pre-flop. Everybody checks to me, and it's time to start building this pot. We think about it, and we fire out a bet. First player calls, second player folds, third player makes the call. I'm feeling quite good about my queens. We take a turn. Two of clubs rolls off. Once again, all of my opponents check to me. There's no reason to believe that I don't have the best hand now. There's really nothing that even improved here on the turn.
How much are you playing, Jeremy?
So we're sizing up here.
That's cool. Thank you.
And going for glory.
You're good. You're good.
550 to go. Any 10, any 9 is not good. I'm basically saying that I have a 10 beat or I have some kind of draw. It's a very good spot to be in position. And the stacks of my opponents are kind of advantageous. One of them is very deep with me, so position's going to be super valuable. And the other is short enough where I'm pretty happy to get it in. Fortunately for me, they both do decide to make the fold. Next hand up, this is a big one. Our hand begins with Jeremy opening it up in the cutoff, and we decide to 3-bet in the big blind with the ace-5 of clubs. Jeremy decides to call, playing about 2K effective here. We do flop a gutter ball. Ace-5 of clubs, queen 4 deuce. Nice board to be able to take a stab at. We have the backdoor flush draw and a gut shot to the, well, not the nuts, but will effectively be the nuts versus the cutoff range. We decide to go ahead and bet the flop. Reasonable to check here sometimes. Mix in maybe an occasional check raise or check call. But 225 is the price, and Jeremy makes the call. The 8 of spades rolls off on the turn. Not a great card for us. In fact, I think it's pretty reasonable to slow down here a decent amount of the time. But we reach for chips. And the price is 425. We're sizing this so that if we jam the river, it's going to be a reasonable sized geometric bet compared to these turn and flop sizes. Jeremy does make the call. 7 of clubs on the river. This is the best bluff card. Well, just about. Having a 5 here is nice. We blocked the Colin. What do we not? Wait. It's full ring.
Nothing.
What am I doing? No. Why am I doing this?
Yep.
Stop. Stop.
Yep.
It's danger.
That's about right.
Danger. Don't do. No. My eyes. Why do I keep to? You know, they say the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting to win at the lodge. In all seriousness, poker's kind of funny. If I played my 2007 full ring style where I basically just set mine and tried to stack people, I would clobber these games. But instead, I just kind of can't do it. I feel like I just need to rein it in, stop bluffing, stop calling. And even though that seems like whenever I start folding, I get shown the air balls. It's happened a bunch already. I think that would work at the lodge. Why am I telling you my strategy? I'm trying to beat you next time I play. The next hand, we straddle. The cutoff opens, and we call in the straddle with the jack 7 of hearts. We check a queen 10 deuce, 2 hearts flop over to the pre-flop raiser, and he bets $100. We decided to go ahead and make a check call. You can check raise here in the flop for sure sometimes, guys, but you do want to mix it up. Turn comes an offsuit 8. Interesting turn, a little bit good for us. Now we turn a gutter to go along with our flush draw. And also our cards have some connectivity with this board where it's a little likely he's got something good. We check once again. Our opponent fires. And now we have a pretty classic hand that should be check raised. Look, it's not fun. You're not loving your life. However, your opponent's definitely going to have to be scared of Jack 9. You can have a bunch of good hands here. And also, he might be betting this a bit thin, especially with his top pair type hands, trying to get some value from the draws. If you check raise here, you balance it out when you have hands like Jack 9. Well, overall, your range is going to be pretty balanced, and it's going to be hard to play against. Our opponent thinks it over, ultimately does make the call. The river is a disaster. Queen on the river. Definitely not a good bluff card for us. If our opponent had 2 pair or top pair either as a boat or trips, neither of those hands are going to be folding. And if our opponent had a hand like aces or kings, it's a pretty tempting card to go for the bluff catch. Also, when we have 2 hearts, we block flush draws that can call turn to fold river. Having the jack of hearts here is probably the single worst possible card to have in the entire deck. So we decide to once again make the disciplined laydown, and we check the river, and we lose to king high. To king high. King high at the lodge, getting it done, because I guess I'm just an idiot. I mean, the data's there. You guys have seen the last 3 hands. Why do I even play hands? Just wait for aces. Aces hand went well. That was a big win. I want to call pre-flop. I wonder how many people watch these vlogs just to see me suffer. Oh wait, I can tell. About 100,000. Next up, I open up the ace king of diamonds. Nothing happens, but just wanted to be able to say ace king of diamonds. Let me show you this on the screen. Yep, there it is. Our next hand, a new player moves to the table, and she opens it up on the button. I look down in the small blind at 9 of diamonds, put in the 3-bet. Action folds back to the button, and she decides to wager all of her chips. With 9-8 suited here, well, I've got a pretty easy laydown, and I decide to ask her to show 1. And I got more than I bargained for. That's a deuce. So, you know, best case, we're looking at ace deuce, deuces. Well, the only deuces here is my equity in this hand. Next hand, the action folds me on the button. I look down at the pocket 7s. I open it up to 60 bucks, and the straddle decides to make it 175 to go. Now, here's the thing about this hand. Me and the straddle are incredibly deep. We're about 10,000 deep. So I'm going to want to 4-bet here sometimes because I like gambling and want to try to win all his money. I don't know if you should 4-bet this deep, but I've not looked at any, I don't know, 500 blind ranges. What do we got here? Yeah, 500. Haven't run the sims on the 500 big blind ranges versus the straddle. I'm going to be doing that very quickly here. Just trust me. I'll know soon. Anyway, the straddle does call, and we take a flop. Jack, deuce, deuce. 2 hearts. Very good board for the 4-betting player. Of course, the guy that 3-bet could once in a while have pocket jacks, but he's never going to have a deuce, and it's pretty unlikely he's got aces or kings. A lot of times those hands are going to re-raise it again pre-flop. So in this spot, if I have aces, I can go for all of it, or at least a lot of it. Ooh, can you go for all of it? God, I hate full ring. Regardless, this is going to be a flop you're going to want to stab at a lot. My opponent checks, and I decided to go ahead and bet my 7s here. Yeah, it's going to suck if I get check raised, but not many hands can check raise. It's going to be a pretty scary spot. We bet 300. We do face the check call. Turn comes the 9 of hearts. Flush completes. Our opponent checks once again. This is a spot you don't want to bet very often in position. The guy who 3-bet and called to 4-bet is much more likely to have flushes than you are. At least I think. That's how it works in heads up. But I don't know for sure. I do decide to check it back on the turn. And the river comes an ace. This is an interesting card. My opponent checks once again. There's some merit to turning my 7s into a bluff here, but I could certainly have a few worse hands. A hand like king, queen, or king X suited, or queen 10. Those are certainly hands I could have in this spot and want to bluff with. So I decide to take my showdown. Wow. King, queen. I win this one with pocket 7s on this board and a 4-bet pot. Now I understand why people play full ring. No, that's not true. This never happens. This is a glitch in the matrix, especially at the lodge. Our next hand is down to heads up in another round of stand-up. Just going to roll the clip again on this one. And we're down to the heads up portion of the stand-up. Jeremy back in the mix. Back in the mix here.
Oh, no. Here we go. Jeremy.
I'm not falling for this shit.
Defense.
That's a big move.
We gotta defend that shit.
All right, Jeremy. A man without principles has nothing. And Jeremy has Texas stand-up. The next hand, I hit a pretty nice hand. A flush.
Flush.
Oh, but there's trips out there, so he's got a boat. It's not as good on that board, but, you know, pretty cool. Got to have a flush. That's always nice. Our next hand will be covered by poker hands.
That's right, vlog. We're back with our good friend Jeremy here for another episode of Poker Hands. Here we have a classic Poker Hands flop. Everything's kind of on the table. We're going to go with the bet. $100. Back over to Jeremy. Checks for hearts. They're not there.
Nope, I'm gonna let you have this
End of the muck. All right, nice.
Which one? Plus one.
This one?
Yeah. All right.
There you go.
Well, the session's winding down. I guess we can probably call it a day until we look down at Pocket Kings! Let's go! Our opponent opened an early position, and we decided to re-raise pre-flop to about $200. Our opponent called, and we took a flop. Queen 5-3, 2 clubs rolls out, and our opponent checks it over to us. Once in a while, maybe you could get tricky here, but on this board, you're going to want to be c-betting a lot of hands, and we do for $200. Should probably bet smaller here. Should probably bet smaller in a lot of hands. Should probably just bet small. Either way, we do bet $200 back over to our opponent. Maybe we can get a little action here. Thinks it over for a while, but unfortunately decides to let it go. Insert sarcastic post-hand complaining comment. Let's see our next hand.
Okay.
This hand begins innocently enough. We've got ace-jack. We play a single raised pot. King, queen, deuce, flop. Check, check. 4 diamonds turn. Check, check. 10 of spades, river. Check. Overbet.
All in.
Jam. Call. Chop it up.
Chop it up. Chop chop.
That was fun. I got to win half a pot. This hand, we look down at ace king in a 5, 5, 10, 20, 40 hand. Big hand. Stakes have gone up. We open it up, and the action folds to the big blind, who re-raises to $455. Back over to me on these stacks. Well, the decision is simple. When I've got ace king, it's a hand I'm willing to play for all of it. So we decided to move it.
All in.
Like almost 7 million of the 8 million in play. And like my opponent rips, I snap a sixes, he has ace 5. The board runs out high. I literally like put on my phone because I want to like record the moment. And then he hits the ace. Now he's got 2 million. Then he just snap doubles through me again. And suddenly I'm 80 big blinds deep effective in this tournament that I thought was over. And it's like 1:30 in the morning. This is going to turn into like, yeah.
Question table number 5, please. Monday? It's gonna be a really, it's gonna be so much fun.
All right. What you got? Ace king? Oh, I have ace king. Yeah, I have ace king. Once or twice, up to you.
I always do whatever.
It's really up to you, man. I'm fine once, I'm fine twice. You can pick it. Twice a day. Let's go. Oh God. Oh, chop it up. I honestly can never win here. Wait, it's 2 boards. 2 boards. Oh, okay. All right. You got it. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. It's honestly unbelievable. All right. Nice hand. Let's just stack. Let's count them down, and I'll pay half, I guess. Right.
I hope so.
My favorite part of this hand is the comment that the guy next to you makes after the hand. I used to win at poker. I used to be really good, and people thought I was a top player. They said, Doug is really good. Now I just fold second nuts to people when they have the nuts, lose all ins, and pay people off, and bluff into guys that are never folding. It is sad. It is sad. What do you think about it? It's pretty sad. Who am I? I might have to do the micro stakes challenge again, but this time for real. Or I could do this. How about this? New challenge. Can I turn minus $312,162 into $0 at the lodge? That's one hell of a challenge. Maybe I can pull it off. Regardless, this will be my final hand of the evening, and it's a doozy. Let's roll the clip. Our hand begins
All right,
at
Scotland.
5, 5, 10, 20, 40. We open up the button with ace 6 offsuit. And the straddle does decide to call. 10, 3 deuce.
Out to sea.
Brick board. Our opponent leads the flop. We decide to call.
For the vlog.
Now, you shouldn't do this. The turn comes the King of Hearts. A perfect scare card, if I do say so myself. Once again, the opposition player thinks about it, decides to check. Now the action's on me. Could fire, or I could check it back. Both pretty reasonable options. We decide to check it back, take some showdown. If our opponent was bluffing the flop, we're ahead of them. And we get a super sweet river ace. Once again, Scotland checks it over to us. And now we have to go for a little bit of value. We have an ace and we have a heart, unlike our opponent has a flush. We do have the top pair. We go for some thick value. $400 to go. This might be too thin. This is full ring poker. Wait, what am I doing? Why didn't I just show this down? What even is going to call me? A 10? You think a 10's going to call? What am I doing? Oh, God. He's thinking about it. Why did I do this to myself? Why? I could have just checked. I could have just seen a shot. Oh, it's a lot of chips. Oh, it's a lot of chips. That, my friends, is a raise.
Get me on the way out here, Scotland. What are we going
That
for?
is the bad news. Okay, so top pair.
His hand's kind of good.
He's
to
saying
call
it's
it.
got something a lot better. I do have the 6 of hearts, so I block some backdoor flushes. Of my aces, it's much better to call with a heart kicker versus even a hand like ace queen. So that makes me a little more inclined to want to have to call. But we've been shown the nuts over and over again in these spots. And even though a lot of my calls and folds have been wrong, the thing is, sometimes you just need to play disciplined poker. They can't always be bluffing, guys. Sometimes a good fold goes a long way. And even though this is a weird spot for my opponent to have some kind of backdoor flush, it's live poker, and they probably just have it. So even though I'm down, I'm run over, I'm losing everywhere, people are killing me in this session, they're getting me every session. When you're at your lowest points, that's when you've got to play your best poker and make the right play by laying it down. Or you can just tilt your face off and call people and they're bluffing. Man,
Oh no!
I guess that works sometimes.
Hey.
Great call.
Thank you for joining me for this episode of me losing money to the locals here in Austin. If you guys want to see more videos like this, well, hit the subscribe button. But we're going to be doing a few poker hands episodes next. So I'm going to analyze some hands that were played at the lodge. We've got some good ones I want to break down. I'll see you guys again next time.